All of us set small, achievable goals, right? Well, one of mine is to do a podcast a week. This one is with the stars and creators of the CBC series, Small Achievable Goals. That's next on Brio TV, the podcast. Hello again, listener. Bill Brio here. Welcome to the podcast. This is a conversation conducted last December at CBC's broadcast headquarters in Toronto. My guests are Jennifer Whalen and Meredith MacNeill, two of the four former Baroness Von Sketch Show comedians who have teamed once again on this new comedy, Small Achievable Goals. The subtitle of this series is Menopause is All the Rage, and it certainly is for the characters these ladies play on this series. They have hit that perimenopause plateau, and it's not always pretty, folks. The series is outrageous and goes places, and, well, check it out for yourself when it premieres Tuesday, February 25th at 9 p.m. on CBC, and as well, you can stream it on CBCGem. Now, can you really make a comedy about something many people, let's face it, would simply prefer not to acknowledge or talk about? Well, hell yes, says Jennifer and Meredith, and here they are, live and uncensored. Thank you for doing this interview.
My pleasure.
Congrats on Small Achievable Goals. Now, I got a kick out of this. Maybe you won't, but when you go to the screener of episode 1, the password for your show is SAG 101.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I found that amusing.
Yes.
So did she.
Yeah, I did. I have not put it in the script yet, but at some point.
Was it on purpose?
No.
It just happened. You saw it, you typed it, you thought. Oh.
No, the title is Small Achievable Goals, and then writing over like, oh, and the acronym is SAG.
Yeah.
Great. And then I thought, well, that's kind of appropriate and fun. And at some point, I feel like somebody will have to make that joke in the show.
Yes,
So.
I think that, well, I'm glad I snuck it into the podcast. I really enjoyed it. I laughed and build. It was angry and fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I learned a lot. I once had a job. I was when I was in university at Kimberly-Clark, and it had a factory in Etobicoke, and so thousands of light day pads passed through my hands as I was on that machine there. And they had a bulletin board there where they would take letters from consumers who were unfamiliar with the product, and you could literally do episodes on it because it was things like, I don't like your product because the adhesive sticks to my pubic hair. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, sadly, a bunch of us idiots were laughing at these things inside this column. I'm not sure why I'm telling you this. Anyway.
Well, it's actually true because there's in the pilot, in the first episode, when Chris goes through and talks about all the sanitary napkins, one of the lines like we caught when I had to trim the speech was she talks about pads sticking to her pubic hair. And also I'm like, oh, yeah, true, Bill. That's right. It does happen. That's the shit that goes on.
There you go. When we spoke last, you guys hadn't shot it yet.
Yep.
And now you have.
Yeah, can you tell? We're the husks of our just finished a couple weeks ago.
Did you?
Yes.
So did it evolve as the show that you had in mind when we last spoke? Did it change much? Or?
Well, interestingly enough, someone else asked us a similar question. We had to realize that no, it didn't. Like it kind of got streamlined, but it did actually stay very true to our original vision, which is kind of amazing.
It seemed to be what you described to me back then. Yeah. And so I was happy to see that because, you guys are taking it head on.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the casting. Jon Dore, right, is your husband.
My husband,
Yeah. He was very funny on the lake.
Yes, he was. He was great on the lake.
Good. And he said a lot of good stuff, so that could be fun. And, of course, oh, my God, from Workin Moms, Peter.
Peter Callahan, yes, he's fantastic, yes, yeah.
He's great at being that kind of smug dickhead kind of guy, right?
He really is. And he's just he's a joy to work with too, and has great stories about Hollywood.
Yeah, he's one of those people that kind of much like Jon Dore, they just enter frame and you're already like, I'm buying whatever you're selling.
Yeah. And the dialogue is very funny. Just Murray, shut up about the Beatles.
Yeah.
I like that. Because I'm old and I think Beatles all the time. I look at my Instagram, there's 15 things, references. It's even I'm burning out. So yes. I think that was a wise
Thank you.
To push. Yeah.
I have a lot of Beatles fans in my life, and I know a lot about the Beatles now, and a lot of trivia I didn't really need to know, but yeah.
There you go. You can't say it's bottomless. Back in a moment with the stars of CBC's Small Achievable Goals, Jennifer Whalen and Meredith MacNeill. Time once again to speak with Emily Gagne at Hollywood Suite. Emily, what do you got for us this month?
Well, it's Black History Month, Bill, so we're celebrating Black excellence with some incredible titles from throughout Black cinema history. We've got a ton of Spike Lee stuff, Do the Right Thing, The Inside Man, but we also have some lesser known titles like The Watermelon Woman, which is a really, really cool movie from the 90s that's a precursor to a queer Black cinema.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Wow. I have not seen that. And any Canadian titles?
Yes, we have this film Guess Who, which is about the mummering, which is an act in, I guess, Newfoundland, where kind of like trick-or-treating, where you go door to door in costumes. Anyways, it's a horror movie about that. So guess who's coming to dinner, and guess who on Hollywood Suite this month.
Look, there's a good theme. Don't miss it. February on Hollywood Suite. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, Bill.
You can talk to me about anything. What is going on?
I'm possibly in menopause.
My period cramps are really bad. Can you imagine that your balls are here in my hand and they're just a hammer, bam, squishy, squishy, squishy.
This is a teaching hospital. Do you mind if some students watch and learn?
Oh my God, well, I've had worse dates than this. Oh, you're heavier than you look. It's a menstrual cup. These are for the tiny little vaginas. Got to squeak that up there. No one down here is interested. God, you are so controlling!
Well, maybe you need to be controlled. You're not even wearing pants!
I look amazing!
Where's Judy Blume when you need her? No, are you there, God? It's me, menopause. And you know why? It's a short book. Her bones turn to dust, she becomes invisible, and then she dies.
And here they are again, Jennifer and Meredith. Is this show for men or for women or both, or what do you think?
It's for everyone. I think that, 50% of the population go through it. And so that means the other 50 have experience in it as well. So I definitely say it's for everyone. And I think when you have to remember, when you look at male comedies, it never skews just to men. Everyone just assumes everyone's going to watch it. So
right.
we're hitting that same thing of we made a comedy and it's for everyone.
And really, my wife Sandra will relate 100% to this, and we've lived some of these episodes at home.
Right.
And men go through this kind of thing too, not in some ways, but you know what I mean. It's just a factor of you're getting a bit older and things are different, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of universal.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many episodes have you done? 8. And from your original idea, do you find this just an endless well? Is this something that is full of information that hasn't been explored with it?
Oh, listen, you could just do a show that's just about all of the different symptoms. There's 101 or, 1,004, depending on, what Google search you put in. So you could do about that. You could do a show endlessly about middle age and, the joys and pains of that. You could do a show endlessly about workplace and what it is to be in workplace. So I feel we've got story for days.
And going back to what we were saying before, if you think of 50% of the population goes through this experience, how many scripted shows about menopause have you seen?
Right, none.
And then if you think about procedurals or the mafia, how many shows have you
It's true.
Right. So
it's been ignored.
And I think because it's a female experience, and I remember being I was at the gym once and some, I don't know, found out I was doing a show about menopause. I don't know how. And he was like, I don't understand how there's story in there, like for what? And then I was like, and for the same reason, I just said to him, well, 50% of the population goes there. And I was like, so there's endless amounts. Like, our hope is we won't be the only one.
Right. But you're also savaging Gen Z, the difference in the generations, and the young podcast fraternity that seems to think anything over 25 is dead. You know, like and these are buttons that are recognizable for some of us,
yeah, like I think, you know, like our society is ageist, and that hits all of us, you know, and so what is that? I think there's a lot of like themes and things that we're playing with that are universal to men, to women, to everybody.
Even the idea that it's about podcasts, right? So we're doing one now, and if you had my Venn diagram, half of my listeners will be dead by that joke you make about how, I talk to, I've got some 90-year-olds that I've done interviews with, and they're fantastic because they have more stories than anyone, right?
Yeah, backstory for days.
But most people who come to me to listen to it are not in the Gen Z category.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't be qualified to work for this company that was, did you do much research on podcasting or what?
Oh yeah, we spoke to several different people, like 2 or 3 different companies. And the CBC were really helpful in that too. They really got into the podcasting element of the show, but we really wanted to make sure that menopause was like at the forefront of the storytelling.
Which it certainly is. Let me just see what else I've written down here. The funniest lines, you're wearing a Ramones shirt, and the crack was that everybody in your shirt is dead, which is sadly true.
It is. And it was, listen, that joke almost didn't happen because the Ramones are all dead, and their estate is in flux. So it was hard to clear the rights. So we had.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So I wanted my character to wear all of these rock T-shirts and to be kind of stuck in her Gen X punk rock taste, but. Oh my God, the trouble we had clearing the shirts.
It was like almost up to the day.
Yeah, it was crazy. So if anybody listening to this is in charge of clearances for punk rock bands from 1976 to about 1992, please let us use your stuff. Yeah.
It's funny, I never think of these things like clearances. I was just talking to Alan Hocko about St. Pierre, and he was saying, they call the Mounties something else in the show, and he says because it's really, really, really hard to clear through the Mounties on anything.
Yeah, and so part of the problem is too that like Canada, this is maybe not a surprise to you, is a little bit conservative about these things. So a lot of it is the lawyer is like, well, we could get sued, and then the follow-up question is, but has anyone? Well, no, because we've not tested it, but it could happen. So it also depends on who your legal team is. Some are, more forgiving than others, and yeah.
Jennifer and Meredith will be back after this short message. Well, February is here, and it's packed with a mountain of new entertainment on Paramount+. Don't miss the new series Watson, starring Morris Chestnut. This is a modern spin on the Sherlock Holmes tale, with Chestnut as Dr. Watson, back treating rare disorders 6 months after the death of his friend and partner, Sherlock Holmes. For reality buffs, there is a 5th season of The Challenge All-Stars featuring 26 cast members from shows like The Real World, Big Brother, Survivor, and others, and they're all competing for a grand prize. Come Valentine's Day, catch the 2nd season premiere of NCIS Sydney, as well as the new reality series The Wranglers, set at Montana's Circle Bar Dude Ranch. Look for the new all-Canadian feature, Aberdeen, about an indomitable middle-aged Indigenous climate change refugee forced from her home due to flooding. Finally, don't miss the 2nd season of Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone origin story, 1923, starring both Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. This month, you'll find No Yellowstone Unturned on Paramount+. Hey, have you been watching the new season of When Calls the Heart on Super Channel? The Shot in BC series is back on Heart and Home with more stories set in the 1920s about family, community, and romance. Look for a special guest, Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie, way back then, as Georgie McGill, who shares a surprising past with one key resident of Hope Valley. Thursdays on Super Channel Fuse, look for more new episodes of Fake. Magazine writer Bertie Bell meets Joe Bird on a dating app and thinks she's found her perfect match, but is her boyfriend all he's cracked up to be? Over on Super Channel Quest, check out Secrets in the Ice, which is not about the Toronto Maple Leafs never winning another Stanley Cup, but examines history once frozen in time. That's all this month, plus tons of movies and more on Super Channel, available via most cable providers across the country, as well as streaming live and on demand with Amazon Prime Video channels, Apple TV Plus, and Fubo. And we're back.
Yeah.
Are you jealous of people who made comedies, like when they were making Fawlty Towers?
Mm-hmm.
They probably didn't have a lawyer, or if they did, they probably could just do and say anything. Now we have to be so clearance.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I do love a boundary sometimes. Like, I feel like, okay, if there's a boundary, then how can I get around that? How can you be creative? Like, when I worked on This Hour, it was 22 minutes. I would always be like, how can I say the thing without saying the thing? Or how can I say the swear word without saying the swear word? So I kind of enjoy the mental math of that sometimes.
Yeah, and I think if comedy is hitting a community of people that are already getting hit, then I think as writers of comedy, that's just not something that you want to do anyway.
Well, it's like the Smothers Brothers, remember Tommy Smothers saying after Nixon was gone, they kind of lost the backboard. Mm-hmm. That they have to be able to bounce for it to really land.
Yeah, you want to punch up. Like, you want to make sure that comedy is hitting a place of sort of great change or expectation, or where someone can see themselves. I think that if you're using comedy to punch people that don't really already have a chance, I think that's not what we're supposed to be doing.
Is there a line you can't cross if you're dealing with menopause and comedy?
That's not up to us. I'd say absolutely not for her and I. I mean,
so it's not a boundary for you.
No. I think it's never been talked about, and I think that we want to just keep exploring, and we both encourage each other to sort of push the boundaries on it. And I don't know, it's such a taboo thing. I think even just talking about it is a taboo. So I mean, we've already crossed that line. So let's see how far we can go. Yeah,
and it's not us. But we will refuse to rein each other in. I mean, that's I feel like the broadcaster's job, isn't it? That's not our job.
No, it's not. Thank goodness that you're doing that, because I'm watching and it's like you're drenched at the beginning, mm-hmm. and you're forced to wear white dresses, and it's a very inappropriate time. You're going places where a lot of people, comedians even, would be shy about going, right?
Well, I mean, I think we both have kind of a bit of a punk rock aesthetic. I can't even say it.
Yeah.
I think we both really like to push the boundaries, and we wanted to make something kind of cool and badass about something that people don't think about as cool and badass. And I think, that's where the fun is, of being subverting every single expectation that you have when you hear the word.
And you kind of know there's a problem if 50% of the population are going through it and you haven't seen it and you have a problem.
Right.
So it shouldn't be that getting, it's weird to be rock and roll with doing something that everyone has an experience with. Mm-hmm. So I think it says more about the patriarchy than it does about comedy. The fact that if 50% of the population are having periods and there's period blood, the fact that is shocking is something that we have to look at, I think, as a society. And I hopefully that show will be the fact that Jen's character is sweating through clothes from hot flashes, where most of us, when we're going to go through it. So it has been an interesting journey, Bill, of that is seen as whoa, but if you actually get behind it and think about it, it's a little bit disturbing.
Yeah. What was it? Fun just shooting as the two of you half naked in the washroom trying to sort out
Oh my God, yeah.
Where you a lot of laughs, I bet.
Oh yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
And it's also, yeah, it was funny, and also we continually do this to ourselves, where we're like, we write something like, okay, that's really funny, and then the day comes to shoot, and you're like,
I need to make 3 layers of underwear.
I didn't really think about the fact that there would be
and also, like, you don't really know how you look in an adult diaper till you see it on camera. You're like,
okay.
I thought this was okay. Here we are.
Okay.
Here we are.
You thought you might look amazing.
Yeah.
I never said amazing, but I was like, there's this sort of glee of like, oh, this is exactly how it probably should look, like so awkward and weird. But then you're like, oh, I've made this choice and we're going to stick to it.
And I feel like it's like a dissociation in the most fun sense of like, well, I didn't do that embarrassing thing. Julie did that. Julie's crazy. I wouldn't do that. What was a little bit good. Julie's so embarrassing.
You found, though, when you pitched this and sold it to CBC, that they were receptive. They weren't afraid of it. And it helps, I'm guessing, that there's women who are in those jobs at the CBC who would greenlight, right?
Yeah. And I think that it's an experience that we have that we want to see. It was interesting. I felt like when we went out to pitch it, I was expecting a lot of pushback because of the subject matter. And I had in my mind my devastating arguments about why they should make the show. And that wasn't the case at all. We were a lot of nods and like, yeah, really interested. And it was met much more enthusiastically than we expected. And yeah, definitely CBC has been great partners. And I think it does help because it is people who have had the experience being like, yeah, this is a thing, and I think it's exciting to be doing something on television that hasn't been done before, or at least in this way hasn't been done before.
Are there other guest stars or other casting?
Oh, yeah. We got Jeannie Becker.
Oh, really?
We got Peaches.
Oh, really? Oh, my God.
Yeah. So we're pretty thrilled about that it was like 2 very blissful days to be filming with both of them and kind of like meeting your heroes, and they didn't let you down. It was sort of wonderful. And I think that talking about the subject matter, like there's so many, it's the time to do it. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of need for it. There always has been, but this generation is the one that seems to be able to talk about it in a way that there's a bit more freedom. So to work with those type of women wanted to come in and support. So we're absolutely thrilled. And we had such a good time.
Oh my God, we had such a good time. Yeah.
Jeannie's pretty brave, obviously, but she would probably jump with 2 feet at the chance to participate in something like this.
Yeah. Peaches is amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
Bill, we did good. I feel like we covered a lot.
I don't know if I need the 2 minutes. So we have. What else are you guys watching in terms of comedy?
Right now I'm deep into Somebody Somewhere.
Just watched the finale last night.
I have not watched it yet, but
that's incredible.
It's so.
It's I don't even know the words to describe it. There's not another show like that where you do these little parables on friendship.
Yeah.
And it's so deep.
It's so beautiful.
It really is. She's incredible.
Yeah.
One of a kind, very much.
Yeah, I just love it. It's just a gem of a show. So I've really, really been enjoying that. I'm trying to like savor it and like because I know I've got the finale to watch too.
The relationship between her and her friend, I can't remember her name, but the 2 of them is fascinating. Mm-hmm. I saw her at Just for Laughs one year.
Oh, yeah?
She was there, and she's very tall, and she had a teacup chihuahua, which made her look taller. Right? But Bridget,
was she performing when you saw her?
I didn't see her perform, but she was I was in the elevator with her.
Oh, wow!
At that Montreal hotel, and at this point, I was just had some awareness of her. But she made a most outrageous pilot I've ever seen.
Somebody was just telling me about this. It was
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Really, I don't know how they made this pilot.
Like good?
It was really good, but it was sexual in an incredible extent, but outrageous and everything else. This show is so different, but it still is fearless, just as fearless, really. Yeah, it's really quite good. That's a great example of something that's on right now. So,
yeah.
All right. I'm getting the nod.
Bill, thank you so much.
Yeah. I just love that line. I need a goddamn gravy bowl. Like I didn't know these things existed.
Oh, yeah.
There was different alternatives.
I didn't know I was going to shut it till I shut it.
Okay. That wasn't just
And that's the joy of the show.
Yeah. Well, a lot of discovery for folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again to Jennifer and Meredith and all at CBC Publicity in Toronto for setting up this interview. My thanks, as always, to Phil Hong for producing these episodes. You know, Phil, he works so hard. There are never any light days for Phil. And yes, that is the best I can do. A shout out as well to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, all the Crispy Critters, as well as piano man Stephen Dudley for the music heard on these episodes. And finally, thanks to you, listener. If you like what you heard, please spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.